What's up everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Ralli Roots. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my top 6 tips to becoming a full-time eBay reseller. With the last tip number 6 in today's video, I think being the most important. And before we jump into today's video, I just want to give you guys a little bit of background about ourselves, just in case this is your first time watching one of our videos. So for the past 8 years, we've been full-time resellers. And all that means is that we've been able to make enough money to pay our bills and make what I consider a full-time income in the United States. We live in Florida, just outside of Tampa, and we've been able to sell stuff on eBay and make a full-time living doing that. And just to be fully transparent, we do make money other ways as well. We sell on other platforms. We have a mentoring group where we make money from that. We make YouTube videos where we make ad revenue, but all of that combined is our total income. But today's video, we're just talking about eBay and how to make a full-time income selling stuff on eBay. And if you take everything away from what we've done and you just look at eBay, we've still been able to make a full-time income selling stuff on eBay. And I say that not to brag, I just want you to understand who you're listening to, because I think it's important to make sure if you're taking advice from somebody that they've done what they're talking about, that they're able to give good solid advice. Also, if you do enjoy today's video, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button on this video and consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to try to put more teaching videos out like this. A lot of what we do is like vlog style, where we go to garage sales or we go to thrift stores and we find cool stuff to sell online. But I think that I like doing videos like this. I like doing teaching videos. So I'm going to get back to my roots a little bit and do some more teaching videos. And then also, if you are interested in our mentoring group, it is fully open now. It's $30 a month to join. If you would like to join, there's a link in the description of today's video. But if not, no big deal at all. We're going to put out a ton of free information for you guys as well. We've put out over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and we're not going to stop doing that. Okay, so tip number 1 to becoming a full-time reseller on eBay is don't jump in too soon, but start. So I know that's kind of mixed messages, so let me clarify just a little bit. When I say don't jump in too soon, one of the reasons why resellers fail, or people will try to go full-time and they fail, is they start too early, or they try to jump into full-time reselling too early. They have a good, cushy 9-to-5 job and have benefits, and they see reselling, you know, and they go to a garage sale and they'll flip something, they'll pay $2 and sell it for $100, and they go, I quit. I'm going to quit my job and go full-time into this. And that's just not smart. You definitely want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, but you also want to start, right? So don't start full-time right away, but definitely don't not start. I don't know. I'm mixing up my words a little bit here, but what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people who I've met who watch YouTube videos like this and they really want to get into reselling, and then 3 years down the road, they're still just watching videos like this and doing research. So you have to start. I know that it can be tough sometimes to go like, what is the first step that I do? But the first thing you should do is just write down, create an eBay account. If you're not on eBay yet, create an eBay account. And then tomorrow, look at that list and go, check, I'm going to go and create that eBay account. And then your next step is to go, let's get something listed. That's how you start. But going back to not jumping in too early, if you have a good job, there's nothing wrong with hustling eBay on the side until you're ready to go full time. A lot of people, like I said, jump in too early, and there's really easy ways to fail. If you run out of capital, or, you know, if you don't know what you're getting into, I think it's important to work it as a side hustle for as long as it takes, as long as it's needed, until you're comfortable enough to go, okay, now I'm ready to go full time. My tip number 2 is you need to develop stable and consistent sources of inventory before you go full time. And not only that, but you should have multiple sources of getting good inventory and then backup sources to those sources. Because in reselling, stuff happens all the time. You know, even to us, we've been doing this for a long time, and something crazy like COVID will happen, where we're getting supplies or we're getting inventory from wholesalers, and then those wholesalers stop getting inventory because they're not getting inventory, which means we're not getting inventory. So if you're not able to pivot into something else and grow your business in different avenues, different ways, or if you don't have that backup plan, that's an issue. If you're full-time, then you'll go out of business, right? When something crazy like that happens, you need to have a backup plan. But you also need to have consistent inventory. And thrift stores, I'm sorry, going to thrift stores, going to garage sales, that is not consistent inventory. Those thrift stores could shut down any day. They could raise their prices. There's just no consistent way to only go to thrift stores and make a full-time income. And I'm not saying that categorically, because I know there are places and there are people who are able to hustle really, really hard. It takes a lot to go and hustle only thrift stores and make a full-time income. That is a tough thing to do. And the only reason I'm saying not to do that, or it's not like a viable option, is because the majority of people who I've met who have done that, tried to only hustle thrift stores and go full-time, the majority of those people are no longer resellers that I've met. They've gone back to their day jobs. Why? Because it's too hard. You'll burn out going and hustling thrift stores 8 hours a day, then coming back and listing stuff on eBay, and then waking up and shipping that stuff and dealing with customer issues and all of the stuff that's involved in doing that. If you're doing it by yourself and you're trying to do it to make a full-time income, it's very, very difficult. So what are some other ways that you can source to get some consistent inventory? Auctions can be good. Estate sales can be good. Again, yard sales and thrift stores and doing like local buyouts can be good. When you start to actually go, okay, I want some really stable income, then you get into stuff like liquidation wholesale, like buying return items from Amazon or from Walmart or from Sears or Home Depot or wherever it's coming from. You can buy these return pallets. Those can be viable, but they're tricky to learn. And then there's also wholesale, which is going directly to a distributor or directly to a manufacturer and going, hey, I'll buy 1,000 of this product if you're able to give it to me for a particular discount, or I'll consistently buy from you over and over again. So like we have developed relationships with people over years, 3, 4, 5 years, where we have told them we can spend X amount of dollars a month with you over the next 12 months. It's almost like a contract. We don't sign a contract doing that. It's more of like a handshake agreement. We can, because we've worked with them for such a long time, we're able to have that handshake agreement. But we can say, hey, we can guarantee that we're going to pay you $10,000 a month over the next 12 months for this inventory as long as our profit margin stays within this range. So when you have a relationship like that, when you can develop a relationship like that, now you know I have stable, consistent inventory coming in on a weekly, monthly basis. I don't have to worry about a thrift store raising their prices or going out of business, or yard sales not hitting this week, or flea markets just not being good, getting rained out. Consistent inventory is what you need to become a full-time eBay reseller. Tip number 3 is to have solid and scalable systems in place and a game plan on how you want to scale your business. Again, you can go in thrift and go to garage sales and get a bunch of inventory and list that stuff on eBay and have a really good year. And let's say you make $100,000 gross in a year, and let's say you net $60,000 profit. Now you're full-time and you go, okay, I'm a full-time reseller. But again, what if you have a bad year? What if those thrift stores aren't there? What systems are you putting in place to be able to scale to that next level? How do you go from making $100,000 gross in a year to making $1 million gross in a year, if that's what you want to do? Not everybody wants to do that, and that's okay. Also, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with reselling part-time. That's not what this video is about. This is just more for people who want to take that next step and go to the next level of becoming a full-time reseller. Keep in mind, being a full-time reseller is not for 99% of people out there. There's 1% of us that can handle how crazy this life is, and that's totally fine. 99% of people, if you want to hustle on the side and sell a few things on the side, nothing wrong with that at all. This is, again, for people that want to take it to that next level. So having scalable systems in place would be stuff like, what is your inventory management system? What is your supply system? Like, how are you getting your boxes and your bubble wrap and your poly bags? And what is the consistency of how many times you have to order supplies like that? Where are you getting those supplies from? What type of shelves are you using? What type of bins are you putting your items in? Where are you storing those items? Do you have a plan to be able to scale up if you need to add more space? Do you want to get a warehouse? And how do you keep track of those items? Are you doing like a number system or a letter system? We use a letter system, right? So each bin that we have, that we put our eBay items in, each bin has letters on it. Like we'll start with letter A. And when we list something on eBay in that custom SKU field, if an item goes in bin A, bin A. It says bin A in that custom SKU field. So when something sells on eBay, we don't have to go searching for it all through our warehouse. We know this item is in bin A, and then we go there and grab that item, and we can ship it out. So you can do A through Z, and then go back and do AABB, and then you can go back and do AAA, BBB, and that's a scalable system. And then in that same aspect of how do you scale to the next level, especially with eBay. eBay is not like Amazon, right? Like Amazon FBA, you pack your stuff up and then you ship it into the warehouse, and then you kind of forget about it. eBay, you're holding your own inventory, or most people are. You're holding your own inventory. You need the space for it. So what do you do? Like, what is your system for how do I store 10,000 items in a space? And then, when you've maxed that out, what's your next step? Do you get another warehouse, or do you get a storage unit, or do you look for property to buy? You need a place to house your items when you're selling stuff on eBay. And then in addition to that, once you get to a certain point on eBay, especially if you want to go full time, it's important to look at hiring somebody. So like we have our Callie, she's actually over there right now taking pictures for eBay. But she's been with us. Callie, how long have you been with us? 5 years? 6 years? Six, almost 7 years. That's crazy. That's so crazy. And Callie is our only employee. So it's myself, Allie, my wife, and Callie, who is our full-time employee and has been our employee for almost 7 years, which is mind-blowing, but it's awesome. And the only reason why we've been able to scale to this point and still do stuff like making YouTube videos and still do stuff like travel and have a good life is because Callie's been there to be able to help us scale to the point. So like while I'm making this YouTube video, Callie's listing stuff on eBay or taking pictures to go and list stuff on eBay. But that's not free. You have to pay those people. So as you scale up, you have to look at your profit margin and go, okay, when am I ready to hire somebody? And when you hire someone, like for the first, I think for the first 6 months when we hired Callie, we operated at a net loss. So Callie working for us cost us money until she got to the point where she was producing more in revenue, like the job that she was doing was giving the business more revenue than what we were paying her for her to do that job. So know that when you hire someone, you're going to take a hit for a few months because you have to teach them what you do, So that's all part of being a full-time reseller is scaling up. What's your inventory system? Do you need to hire staff? What sort of level do you want to get to? With eBay, if you want to get to that 7-figure mark, you're going to have to do stuff like hire employees to help you ship, put your systems in the right place to make sure that you're not losing items or, losing track of items. Every customer is getting the right item. And then also customer service stuff, like who's answering the questions that come in on eBay, who's doing that, who's handling returns, who's doing the shipping, who's doing the listing, who's doing the pictures. All of that is stuff that you have to take into consideration when you do go full-time on eBay. And then this goes hand in hand with everything I've talked about so far. Tip number 4 is you need to know your finances back to front. This is one part of reselling that it's not fun for a lot of people, talking about the money side of things. It's all well and good to go find something for $1 and then flip it for $50 and you go, oh, I made $49. Great, good job. But that's not true. You have to look at how much did it cost you to sell that? What was your time to go and find the item and then list the item? Did you pay staff to do that for you? What are your shipping supply fees? How much did it cost to keep the lights on? What's your phone bill? What are you going to do when it comes to contributing to retirement? What are you going to do when it comes to investing if you want to do that? What if in the future you want to open a physical store or buy property or buy a warehouse or rent a larger warehouse space? You have to know your finances and you have to go, okay, this is the amount of money that we're putting aside to do stuff like that. In our situation, we started this entire business with $200. We went out with $200 and went to garage sales, and we've never pumped money into the business from anything other than our reselling ventures. And we've grown it into, I'm sitting in a 3,500 square foot warehouse. Next door is another 6,000 square foot warehouse. We're on 5 acres of land that we bought. So this is stuff that you can do. It's definitely very, very scalable, but you have to be able to budget those numbers. And here's the thing. Yes, we've done it, but I'm definitely not the right person to be talking about finances with you. Never take financial advice from a reseller. I've always said that. Go talk to a professional, talk to a CPA, talk to a financial advisor if you can find a good one. If you don't have a good one, go check out Nikki Dunn. She's amazing. She'll give you really, really good advice. But we all have different goals, right? And I'm saying that, and also we have different expenses, right? Like we don't have kids. We don't have a family. We have dogs. but we don't have kids. And I know that, there's stuff like planning for kids' college funds, and there's, daycare and school stuff. And I don't know. I know kids are expensive though. My parents had 4 boys, so yeah, I know we were expensive. So there's all those little things that you need to watch and take into consideration, and look at your finances and go, okay, if we get $100 in to the business, let's say after fees and paying for the cost of the item. So let's say it sells for $150, and then after fees and everything, cost of the item, you get $100 into the business. Well, that $100 isn't yours. It's not technically yours. You have to pay taxes on it, of course. But then 2, what do you want to use that $100 for? Let's say you want 10% to go to investments. Let's say you want 20% to go to your kids' college funds. Let's say you want 30% to go into a building fund, so you can purchase a building in the future. And then let's say you want another 20% to go into money for buying inventory. By the end of the day, you might only have like 10-15% left for personal expenses, or to pay yourself a salary. And to me, I think it's very important to monitor those finances, because if you don't do that and you just go, oh, I made $100, let's go out to dinner tonight, and you spend it all, you're going to run out of money very, very quickly, and you're going to be a sad reseller. So just make sure that's, one of the biggest tips I can give for becoming a full-time reseller on eBay is to monitor those expenses. Alrighty, tip number 5. Tip number 5 is that with eBay, consistency is everything. So if you want to make money on eBay on a consistent basis, not $1,000 one day and then $0 the next day and then $500 the next day, but if you want consistent sales on eBay, you have to do consistent things. Now, what I mean by that is you have to do stuff like list every single day. eBay likes an active store, and an active eBay store is a store that is listing new items every single day. I'm not talking about ending old items and then relisting them as sell similar. That is a little thing you can do. That's good to do stuff like that. But I'm talking about taking pictures and listing new listings on eBay every single day. To be consistent and to grow into a full-time eBay account, you must do that. List every single day, even on the weekends. If you're going to list stuff on the weekends, you can schedule them out. Like, we don't like to work weekends, but you can schedule out listings to go live on the weekend, and that's totally fine. So we have what we call like our daily eBay task that we do every single day to stay consistent. One of those things is we list new items every single day. Going back to what I said earlier, sometimes we will go in and do end listings that have been sitting for a while and then resubmit them as sell similar. I don't know if that works or not. It used to work really, really well back in the day, but now it's just like a little boost. It shows that your store is active, and it shows as more listings being active on the account. We also send out offers every single day. Some people don't use this tool, and it's there for a reason. I've always told people, if eBay starts a tool, if they invent a tool for eBay, they want you to use it. And one of the most powerful tools is sending out offers to people. So even if someone isn't watching your item, if they've clicked on it a couple times, they become a potential customer where you can send an offer to them. So what we do, and again, you don't have to do this, but I do suggest you do it at least once a day. But what we do is we send out offers in the morning and then in the evening. So usually about 10 a.m. Eastern time, so that it reaches them. They'll maybe see it during lunchtime, and maybe they'll buy. And then after like the common work day, after 5 p.m. Eastern time, we'll send out offers again, so that Eastern time people will see it, and then also people over in the, on the West Coast, Cali people. I'm just kidding. But they'll see it as well when they're getting off of work. So we send out best offers twice a day, in the morning and then in the evening. Use that tool. We also look at our store and we tweak listings on a daily basis. We tweak prices to make sure that we're staying competitive in the marketplace. We'll look up comps, and we'll look up what our competition's doing, what listings are active. Because maybe 6 months ago we priced an item and that item has been sitting, and we didn't realize the value of that item has plummeted very, very quickly. And now we had it listed for $100, and now we have all these competitors selling that same item for $80, and we're just sitting there at the top waiting for someone to buy it. Well, if you're not looking at that on a daily basis and adjusting your prices, then that item will sit there forever. And our business model is volume. We don't want stuff to sit for years. We want stuff to sell usually within 30 to 60 days. About 80% of our inventory, we want to be those quicker sales, 30 to 60 days. And then 20%, we don't mind being a little bit, we call it longer tail items. So items that'll sit for, 6 months plus. But with items like that, we make sure we're not investing a lot of money into them, because it's better to get the revenue back, buy something else, and then flip that money over and over again. So you want to make sure you're not putting a ton of money into longer tail items. And then usually with our longer tail items, we're looking for stuff that is pretty valuable. So spending $10 at an estate sale on an item that when it sells will eventually sell for $200, that's okay to do long tail items in an instance like that. And then also doing stuff like tweaking what eBay wants you to tweak, because eBay is tweaking their own website all the time. They're doing updates all the time. I know they do like quarterly updates on what's happening. And if you're not looking at that and following those updates, then you're going to get left behind. You know, like for example, eBay, a couple years ago, eBay put out that they wanted white background pictures. It's not as important anymore. They did say that. But at that time, that was like the most important thing. You had to have a pure white background. That's what they wanted for search. And if you didn't at least start following that principle of making your items with that, you know, that white background, that clear white background, then your items weren't showing up in search as much. That's a fact. Those items were just not showing up in search as much. But again, if eBay tells you to do something and if they have a tool to help you do it, then you should be doing it. You should be listening to the platform that you're selling on, because they're in place for a reason. I know I rambled on a little bit there. I'm out of breath. No, I did ramble on a little bit there, but all I'm trying to say is to be consistent. Set yourself a schedule. When you are full-time and you're, you know, especially if you're coming from a 9-to-5 job where you have a boss and then now you're full-time and you don't have anybody really telling you what to do. If you don't set a schedule for yourself, then it's probably going to crumble, because you're not used to being, you know, you're not used to not having someone staring down your neck. So make yourself a schedule. Wake up at 7 a.m., work out, eat breakfast, you know, go source, list stuff, ship stuff, tweak your listings, send out best offers. If you have this like consistent schedule, then at the end of the day, not only have you done a lot, but you'll also feel a lot more accomplished. And doing that set schedule will translate to more sales on eBay, because you're being consistent and eBay likes an active account. Hopefully that helps. Okay. And then the final tip that I'm going to give you for today's video, tip number 6. And again, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is probably my biggest tip, is you have to surround yourself with greatness. And I know that sounds cliche, but this is reselling full-time is a lonely, lonely world. We're lucky that I have my wife, Allison, and she's fully supportive and she works with me, and we're able to do this as a team. And then we have Callie, who's a friend. She's been a friend before she became an employee of ours, and she's still a friend. So we're able to have that interaction. But if you're going from corporate, or you're going from a different type of job where you have coworkers, right, and a set schedule, and then you start as a reseller, it's lonely. And, you know, some people don't have supportive families or supportive spouses, and everyone's going, what are you doing? You sell stuff on eBay? That's not a job. You know, we've heard it all. People have definitely come down on us and said, yeah, that's a hobby. That's not a job. You can't pay your bills with that, doing that, blah, blah, blah. But those are just people who either are unhappy in what they're doing themselves, or they just don't understand the possibility with selling on eBay. But because it can be a lonely thing to do as a reseller, being a full-time reseller, it's good to surround yourself with like-minded people. So go and join. There's a bunch of really, really good reseller Facebook groups. Some of them can be toxic, but you'll find your friends in that group. And you know, there's a lot of really good free Facebook groups out there. You can do that. There's also paid groups. Like we have a paid mentoring group with hundreds of people in there who, you know, we're all working together, helping each other out on the same type of goal. But our group is not just eBay. Our group is also Amazon and Poshmark, and, you know, social media help and whatnot has become a big platform on there as well. But there are also paid groups like ours out there that can be a big, big benefit. And I'm not saying our group is the best either. There's lots of groups out there. And if you have the means, if you have the, you know, the finances to do it, I tell people to go join a ton of groups and see which one works best for you, and get get a benefit out of all of them. And then again, if you don't want to pay for something, that's totally cool too. There's also like a bunch of reseller meetups out there. If you look on Facebook, you can find reseller groups that do in-person events, in-person meetups in your local area. I'm sure you can find some groups to meet up that way. And then there's great events as well, like big events, like Boss Reseller Remix. Our good friends Katie and Vicky host an event almost every year. I'm not sure if there's one this year, but they host this amazing event for resellers in Las Vegas called Boss Reseller, where hundreds of us all get together from all over the country and world, and we all meet up in Vegas for this like reseller convention, and it's a ton of fun. We've made like lifelong friendships, not just business relationships, but lifelong friendships at events like that. So in a business like this, when you're full-time, it's important you have to develop your own coworkers and have a core group of people that you can talk to on a daily basis when you're all doing the same thing. Otherwise, it does become quite a lonely thing to do. Anyway, guys and girls, I hope that this video has helped you out. Again, if it has, please hit the thumbs up button on the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Please leave any tips or tricks or anything, any comments you want to leave in the comment section of today's video. I'd love to hear from you. I read every single comment that comes in. I probably shouldn't, but I like to read and respond to the comments. So leave a comment. And again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I hope it helps out a little bit. And I'll see you on the next one. I'm Ryan Roots. Later, guys. Bye.